Hello guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge operating in Minsk and across Belarus. Our company, LLC SIS, has been successfully relocating people to Belarus for almost 5 years by now. And this is a release about local and global headlines, all around Belarus of course. The biased digest of which will allow you to plan your travel or your relocation to Belarus or the other way around. So let's see what happened lately. By definition, a concierge is a hotel guy who is meant to make your stay comfortable and enjoyable. So suppose you're checking into a different hotel in Moscow somewhere, and it's Saturday and everybody is kind of weekend mood, and suddenly the receptionist asks you for the border stamp. The point about your border stamp is you were traveling by train and it's using TRP, temporary residency permit from Belarus, that got you into Russia, replacing the necessity for Russian visa. And the border stamps just do not exist. So the reception is not checking you in, allowing to compensate the booking and everything, just cancel on the spot. And what do? So the guy, a European client of mine, the guy decided to drop me a message on a Saturday afternoon. There aren't too many assistants still working, but I managed to push through an official FSB reply that explains that the FSB do not do stamps across the border. There is no border. So the reception was asking for something that did not exist. The guy resolved his matter. The other thing that happened is, suppose you buy a flat in Minsk and you enjoy your life and everything, but you also have to be here and there, do your exports and imports thing, and you score $700 worth of unpaid utility bills before the community. And then suddenly there is my number as a translator in the papers, and the chairman of the community is asking if we could possibly pay the bill. Otherwise, they're taking it to court and to the repossession people who will come up and find some assets to convert into money to pay those bills. Well, we have a pretty excited conversation, and within a couple of days, the bill was paid. So that's about what a real estate concierge can manage for you if you choose to use their services. Let's see the headlines. With the recent complications, we might put it that way, the travel has become more challenging, effort-demanding. Travel into Belarus, mostly those buses from Vilnius. Lithuania has cut a significant number of those buses, and the ride is now $50 worth. Besides, the buses are booked out. Private rides are around $200-300 at least. So the private transfer from somewhere in Minsk to somewhere in Lithuania may be even more than that, depending on the date. And of course, 1st of September, the school day, families moving here, families going there, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. Generally, my recent American tourists have not had any Cold War experiences or anything like that. They came, they flashed their passports, they answered the questions at the border, that was it. We did some sightseeing in Grodno, in Brest, and returned. And they're just happy they did not go with the do not travel advice of the whatever government websites are declaring it. The general guess is that the Lithuanian bus cancellations are related to the exercises that the Russian and Belarusian military are conducting in western Belarus. Officially, they downscale them and push them away from the border to keep our Baltic friends less excited, but, well, they are happening. They are finishing on the 16th of September, 12th to 16th, and we may just hope that in a couple of weeks the things will get back to normal. I guess I've been hearing that since 2021 or something. Otherwise, you may take a bus from Poland, you may take a bus from Latvia, and cars as well. Or if you have a Belarusian or a Russian visa, you can simply come here via Russia or fly via Russia. Although, again, with non-existing European flights, it's a bit of a challenge. But therein lies the joy of seeing our destination, which is off the beaten track. Your obvious options are apply for an online visa and come through the western border. Be careful with the Polish border because non-EU citizens may not be allowed back to Poland from here. And there is the airport visa-free mode. All the dedicated videos are in the video description. And there is a conventional visa way if you need to obtain residency later. For this, you may simply message me for a specific paid consultancy about your case. The universal piece of advice once you're here is the same. Carry cash. the cash is really helping, and that guy with his crypto wallets and other things was desperately looking for $600 to change from the hotel to the apartment the other day. It looked really ridiculous. Otherwise, he was all high-tech, all prepared and everything, but carry cash. Today is the 31st of August, the last summer day. The weather people have issued a temperature warning. High temperatures are going to be across Belarus. People are enjoying their last summer Sunday, and that enjoyment sometimes reaches pretty ridiculous lengths. So people have to be careful, and people have to drink responsibly and then drive responsibly, of course, without having drunk. The alcohol sales will be limited on the 1st of September. I don't know why this idiotic tradition also switched to the beginning of the schooling year, but that is known to be the case at the end of May, June, mid-June, when they have school and trade schools and universities graduation parties, which is kind of logical, except it's not from the point of view of the graduating kids. But the booze will be limited in supply in the coming days, so take that into account. As for the weather, it's going to be normal, just tomorrow dropping to 25, 24 centigrade on average, and things will be just fine. Technically, PayPal does not exist in Belarus, but lately it's kind of half here. You can top your balance and pay things, but you cannot accept money. Lately, people with wallets were confronted with a bunch of technical issues as the payments were cancelled, or somebody's Visa payments were going through, somebody's MasterCard payments through the same bank were cancelled, the bargains were collapsing. So the nature of these technical issues was not really explained, and the local bank said that they do not have any local limitations on the transfers, and referred to check with the platform. Not sure how much you can check with the platform. Once they sniff you are from Belarus, maybe they'll just chop your wallet or something like this. But, well, people have had some issues. And yeah, it seems like there's a whole class of people existing and shopping internationally and having that PayPal account for their international payments. Other available platforms to transfer money over here are the ones that really do transfer money here are Findo, PaySend, and MoneyGram. Lately, the two last platforms were having some kind of issues, so see if that works for the moment and for the specific bank where you're sending money to. Buying a second-hand vehicle is a bit of a challenge here in Belarus. The new vehicles have topped into a rating of 3, Chinese, and kind of semi-Chinese, the Belgi, the local Geely assembly at a factory north of Minsk. Geely bought Volvo, by the way, if you were wondering what the hell this means. And Lada. Lada is not really Russian car by any means at this moment. It's overpriced out there in Russia, and the warehouses are full, but here is the top third car selling. Could be the government procurement contracts. They're getting a lot of deals, and they're trying to get the cheapest local equivalent for their daily use. So that could explain that. In this context, I would like to remind that on the temporary residency, you can only buy a local car to make it permanent, convenient, and regular. Otherwise, your foreign car has to come here for 6 months, extension for 6 months, and then a U-turn at the border to reset the 6 months toll-free car stay and extend again, and so on and so forth. If you have two vehicles, one of them will have to have the hostage money in the Belarusian bank, which you pay at the customs at the border, and then you collect once you leave the country. There's a kind of complicated mechanism of doing that, but it's doable. Livada residential complex is still under construction by the river on the other side of the city, maybe 4 kilometers away from here, and they are punching in some small short buildings by the river itself. Developers love punching in things here and there. They're going to be more expensive per square meter. They just have 4 sections, 5 floors, and this is meant to be like almost VIP kind of thing. You and the river and nothing else. My client has a flat under construction. The block is going to be completed next year, basically. Right now they are already commissioning the parking spots, so I'll be going there to finish the paperwork on his behalf, on his power of attorney, and send him over the documents or the scanned documents. Now, this is another thing that Concierge can do for you. Anything on the power of attorney. to my great surprise, although I'm not much into French restaurants, some Le Crow place is about to close here in this building by Victory Square. Having opened 3 years back, it was a high-end restaurant for French cuisine. Definitely not my kind of thing. And the place shutting down. A bunch of restaurants has been reported as shut down lately in the city. There may be different problems, but generally catering to me is one of the most stressful fields of business over here. Never tried it myself, of course. Too much for my nerve system. And, well, I can only wish people who are undertaking something like this luck with all the personnel flow and all the supplies and all the requirements from the government, which may be perhaps the most demanding part of this business. All sorts of analysts, economics analysts, are anticipating a economy downturn, some kind of a global crunch. And it seems like the world leaders are competing in dropping their home currency and trying to, gain some winnings from the exports by dropping their currency potential. So the US dollar holders over here, and lots of people here are keeping money in US dollars, saving money in US dollars, are uncertain about what to do next, especially with another problem that is kind of artificial here. The bluish dollar bills from 2006 are more popular than the black and whitish, although they are both legitimate and they're all in circulation and they're all working. And with the mounting problems in the Russian economy, and here I may need some feedback of yours, guys. What do you feel is going to happen? The Belarusian ruble rate is going to drop, and this will inescapably affect the real estate market by creating a chaotic surge in demand. People will buy whatever exists, and now is the best time to sell, by the way. And the market then will be slowly dropping because our people are investing only in concrete. They're telling me from worldwide that in some countries people are really also very fond of investing into apartments, although it's investment. It's not really investment. It's more like kind of saving money or losing just a little bit of the money. And what's going to happen in the next quarter is going to be rather interesting and exciting from the point of view of the economics, not from the point of view of an everyday man. The local equivalent of McDonald's, McBY, is switching to local products. They are like 74% something local now. Even potatoes is coming from Belarus apparently, or is about to be procured in Belarus. Generally, the network of the restaurants was purchased from the franchise holder a couple of years ago, and they are still functioning, and they are still pretty much operational with agreeable service and agreeably edible things, although I don't really go past the Caesar roll, maybe occasionally the cherry pie. Tell me what you think. Of course, you think a little bit worse about this place than me. And the KFC is still there and other fellas, so tell me what's your street choice in the city of Minsk. Obviously, we all prefer to have some human food in the human restaurants, but sometimes the pace of life, especially when you're a real estate concierge, demands that you have your calories as you run. Some positive guy left the employ of the firefighting department and set up his farm 60 kilometers away from Minsk. To make it short, although the way was quite thorny, I guess, he learned all the ways about blueberry and set up his farm and is now harvesting some $20,000 worth of berries off 1 hectare, which is quite a breakthrough for somebody who was mostly into fitness and saving people's lives and everything, like switching to business where you have to create your own fire and upkeep it to a certain level. That's admirable and very much commendable. And kind of a cool development, which is kind of fine as well. And at some point, unless you're a school kids are no longer allowed to carry, they're allowed to carry but not allowed to use mobile phones at school. Only kids with some, mental stress issues and in very special cases can make use of the phones. Teachers are limited in that capacity as well, and that is kind of cool because we all know that gadgets are kind of replacing kids' brains, and that happens to adults as well pretty much. So that is a really interesting thing. Let's see how it's going to be implemented. Tell me what you think about no mobile phones at school. I guess some teachers are going to have a radical positive opinion on that. One more positive development, not far from here, Waldorf Astoria, they tell me it's the most expensive kind of Hilton, is going to open its doors in a few weeks or days or something like this. They are already replacing the dry bush by their doors with a green bush and are taking in the personnel, I guess. It's been open on the site of the former exhibition center, a walk away from the old town. We really have a very small old town, but it's kind of cool on the ads, I guess. And with that restaurant that is hanging over the river, so you can have your coffee in a very feng shui atmosphere. So, and the UAE investor from the Gulf definitely knows something I don't and definitely has more cash to play with. We may or may not agree that in the certain geopolitical circumstances, a gamble like this, an investment like this in Belarus may or may not seem dangerous, risky perhaps, but that's the nature of people with cash from the Gulf. They're taking the risk. Tell me what you think. Will the Iron Curtain be lifted this year or next year, or is it going to be a very expensive and very empty hotel? Last but not least, this feature was existing in the subway. People were paying for the trip by card. You had to push your card to the reader by the device that lets you into the system, and now they're enabling the same thing, pay as you roll in public buses, in the ground transport, buses, trolleybus, trams. Apparently this has just been kick-started and it may not work perfectly, but it's a real comfortable thing and it allows you to just use your card without distracting the driver and without forcing him to look for change when some is needed. If you have the 50 ruble bill to pay a 1 ruble ticket, then there's some digging for coins and all the 50 people behind you have to sweat and wait till the bus starts rolling. Well, they're also fixing some roads around the town, but let's keep it for a later digest. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Please share your comments in the feedback. Press likes or dislikes if you can help the channel with a few dollars. Donation link is over here and they're down below as well. Thanks to patrons. Cheers from Minsk, and hope to see you here on some positive cause. See you later.